So this is after attending this 10-day Vipassana course, and I'm reflecting and continue reflecting a little bit more. The title here is that the Vipassana at prisons. At the end of the course, I noticed there are 2 videotapes available, and one was describing the course and its effect in Indian prisons, that they applied this idea. I think there may be 1,000 people in the big prison. They worked on it. And the other, a rehabilitation facility in Seattle. Each is about 1 hour in length. And from that, I picked up some quotes. These are videos. This is one from the prison. There are 1,000 inmates went through the course in a large tent in 1994. The same 10-day course is promoted, the same one that, like I did, was promoted by the Indian government to allow all prisons to go through this. And few pointers from the people who attended, the prisoners. One of them says, "I have done a wrong thing. What happened is what I have done to myself. This is why I'm here. I do not regret being here. I'm grateful to come to jail." Next one. "I love myself today." There are a few comments. I'm just putting these together. First guy is, "I love myself today." The second guy, "It is such a peace, such a weight lifted." The third guy, "I can look at the problem and let go of the feeling." Oh, this is from the Seattle prisoner from 1999. The previous one was 1994. 2 people's comment, and the second one, 3 people's comment. In both cases, tears of happiness, appreciation, and compassion, as well as genuine smiles, were quite apparent. One Seattle officer mentioned, "There was like a screen in their eyes that we cannot look into before, but now we can see inside clearly." Both of these tapes bring out the message. If we generate negativity in mind, we become miserable. We feel guilty in lying to ourselves to cover up the sin, or we may feel that we may be caught sometime and feel very insecure. By our own doing, we become miserable beings. From the Indian video, a murderer asked forgiveness from the family of the murder he committed against this same family member. The family gave forgiveness to him, and the scene showed the family members hugging this man, calling he is now a family member. These videos are available at pariyatti.com. Next segment, the road ahead. That's for me. Guideline to practice Vipassana in daily life, suggestion by Mr. Goenka. There are pointers, like 4 or 5 of them. Practice 2 hours of meditation at the same location every day. I'll give you my impression of afterward. The second point, provide the fence around you to protect from external interruption of your Dharma. Dharma is the laws, the principle, way to live. Any tree needs to have sun, water, and fertilizer, as well as a fence around it before it can grow on its own. Your cultivated spirit from the Course needs to be protected. Third point, you may need to compromise something so that the practice of Vipassana does not interfere with other religious practice, family affairs, and so forth, but make sure that principles you learned will be preserved. Another point, come back to the 10-day course every year to recharge the spirit, but it may not be wise if you come back to re-experience the pleasure that you experienced in this course. Some people come back many times to the course for that reason. The last point, provide your service for others to go through this 10-day course. Monetary donation is fine to cover the cost, but actually helping others to go through the course will be very beneficial for you. It is natural for one to receive service from others and to provide service back to the next people. Let me comment a few points. 2 hours of meditation every day. I knew I couldn't do it. I didn't even try. Because if I try and not to do it, then I feel bad. And that's not what I want. So I decided, no, I'm not going to do 2 hours. I don't know if I said I would do 1 hour. But basically, I did it pretty much like 1 hour. But I think I split up that 1 hour in 2 sessions or whatever way that I wanted to do. Knowing who I am, but I think the continuation is so important, and I don't want to lose that. So that's the balance that I thought I want to keep, and I kept that for a long, long time. 15 years, 20 years, 15 years perhaps. And I kept monitoring how many minutes I meditated, how many minutes. And I have this black dot exercise, I call it, every day. How many minutes? And if there's some upset feeling or something, I put the black dot. Some are bigger than others. And then I had some activity of the day, something like that. So I kept going, and the pages, many pages that I kept on going. When I'm traveling, I did the same thing. And that was the habit I didn't want to lose, because I got liberated. And I could tell that for whatever reason, it's still something left in me. And if I don't keep up, the bad habit would start to take over. So that's the discipline. I didn't do 2 hours, but I did it pretty much 1 hour. So that's one thing. And then coming back to 10-day course every year to recharge that spirit. Same idea. I didn't want to lose it. As weak as I am. And the way it happened is that I sucked up whatever the bad habit and installed like a program in me, whether my own or by others, of when I was little, even when I didn't know what was going on. I could have those things in my unconscious, and it comes back. Like my father, I wouldn't point my father being criminal or anything, but he may have certain tendency, and I could relate some of that. So I want to make sure that I have the spirit and the practice, monitoring every day, and I didn't want to get back to when I had those pains and the suffering. Since I got relieved, that had more intention for me that I don't want to lose that. So I kept coming back 10-day course for a dozen years, pretty much every year. And I did it in Japan and in New Zealand. Yeah, but mainly in the CVC, California Vipassana Center near Yosemite. And that place had some feel of going back to home. I remember all the trees and, when you're doing the 10-day course and not talking with anyone, you talk with trees. So I remember I'm so familiar with the trees and the deer. One time I remember, I may have said it in one of the videos long time ago. I was meditating, or I was just resting under the eave of the house, just after lunch, having lunch, and just being quiet. After a while, something moved, and I looked at it. There was a deer sitting pretty much next to me, maybe 5 yards away or something, because I think a deer knows that this place is safe because everybody's behaving well. The word Goenka said is, you may not like to hear this way, but this is like a hospital. You have to go through this to clean up and fix it, and then go back to the world, and then come back every year, basically, something like that. So I still remember the smell of those, I forgot the name of the bush and the trees and the pecking, what's the name of the tree, the bird, the pigs make a noise. That became my home. Every time I go there, just can't believe so much memory. Since I thought about something, let me kind of talk about it. So at the end of the day, of the 10-day course, and then last day before departure, we have maybe 2 hours of sitting before everything is done. And there was a metta meditation. And that was very powerful. That says something like confessing what I may have done and how to fix it, that kind of thing. By that time, everybody's mind is very clear, pure. So many people shed tears, come up with tears, because the chanting or the talk is about, I admit I did wrong thing or some such thing. And then I don't remember all the detail. And I also committed without me knowing whatever that may have influenced other people. So I'll forgive others as well as forgive myself. That's metta meditation. If I remember, I put it into the description, what is the sentence for that. So that was the last part. And then you can talk. No eye contact or anything until then. I believe so. Maybe last time I did the last meditation in CVC, California Vipassana Center, that was probably, I don't know, 5-7 years ago. And since then, I haven't been back. And I can talk about, something about it. But if I say just a few words on that, I did those 12 times or so, or more. And then I sort of figured out, it's like my scientific knowledge. You maintain it, do it 12 hours, 12 years and more. And then it's kind of like, my mind is like a marginal gain. It's going to get less and less as you keep doing it, because it's just become just a continued ritual kind of thing. So what happened is that about that time when I quit, and maybe something related to that, but it was the time when I had divorced from my wife, and I had some issue about the difference we had at the time. So I said, okay, I'm done. There's a gap, like my way and her way. That may sound not good, but basically difference in, and at the age of 62 or something like that, at the time, I thought I want to go back to the world and explore what's going on. My world at the time, we had the house, actually a big house, and everything was perfect. And I'm going to New Zealand every year, spending 3 months, free ticket from mileage program, and doing whatever I like, being in nature and fishing. And then back in California, I started to do surfing, and everything is just good. And then I asked this question. I usually do. So what? That's kind of like my habit. Okay, so what's the point of my life at this moment? What is it in there? And I answered in this way that, well, my son is graduating, so that was precisely the time I waited. But before that, I had some issue about the difference. For whatever reason, my ex-wife and my son had the traveling, and I was left alone. And they went to Argentina and Africa or some such places for a couple of weeks or more. So at that time, I wondered, okay, what do I do? Anyway, I made up my mind. I wanted to go back to, because the life was too, how do you call it? Just fine. The weather is good. Everything is done, and I worked, and the money was not the problem. So what? And then I have done, dozen times of Vipassana, and I have stopped, or was in the process of stopping. So is this all my life and continue to be like this, or what? And I said, no. And also I felt like I want to test if I can go back to the world and see how I live, instead of continuing the life that is somewhat predictable. So my explorer nature popped up. And given that in the 3 weeks they were traveling, I started to make a move. And it may have taken a year and a half or so to go through the process. And then I started a new life. So that's my case. But I don't need to talk about, from there what happened. But basically, I maintain this principle, approach of Vipassana, Chira Samadhi Panya, no sins committing, and no delusion as much as possible, and jump back into the world. So that was 25 years of a marriage. My son was born. And prior to that, I had the marriage with a Japanese woman in Japan. So I have 2 divorces. And then I kept on exploring the world. But I maintained the principle practice when I said the life profile, measuring how I'm doing every 3 months, and every day checking how I'm doing. But briefly speaking, once I went back, I had some relationship, and it wasn't easy. So it was a real test. I remember that. Do I regret anything? No, I don't think so. I just tried to do my best. And when I had the relationship not easy, I tried my best to fix whatever is needed. But it was more than I could handle. So that's part of my life. Now, whatever happened, I'm single for the last few years or more. And I'm happy actually being alone. And because the relationship is, I'll quit in a minute or two. Relationship requires attention, and each of us may have some flaw or differences, and that is merging together requires lots of energy. So I still wanted to maintain this practice going forward. So I tried to go with the flow, but then it just didn't integrate it. There was too much barrier for my energy to go and then to the next relationship kind of thing. Okay, so that's a little summary after the course, and I want to keep talking some other stuff. But for now, I'm going to close this case. Thank you.